Hello and welcome to the class of 2023 information session for parents that were unable to join us at our meeting on January 24th. This is Dr. Heather Childs. I'm the curriculum and instruction principal at Collins Hill High School, and I plan on walking you through some of the key information that we went over at our meeting. So this is a copy of the agenda. We will not be going through all of this information, but you will find information about the electives and the academic areas in the transition guides that were sent to the middle school, and hopefully you've received those by now. One of the things that we did was to explain and go over how ninth grade differs from middle school. And so since it may have been a while since you've been in high school, or this may be your first student that is coming up to high school in Gwinnett County, we wanted to make sure that you have an understanding of what ninth grade will look like. We do schedule for 2 semesters per year, and most classes are considered year-long classes, meaning that there is a first and second semester that they have to complete in order to get the full credit. Students will take a total of 6 classes a semester. That will be the equivalent of 6 units per year, assuming that they pass each of their courses. So students are required in ninth grade to take math, language arts, and science. Health and personal fitness are requirements by the state, graduation requirements, and students take those in their freshman year. And then they have a spot for 2 electives for a total of 6 units. So how we make sure that students are able to get registered for all of their classes, we being the high school, have met with the middle school teachers to talk through our course scope and sequence, and to discuss with them what they should be looking for as they make their placement recommendations. So for the core academic areas of math, language arts, science for biology, and then actually even the social studies folks will enter in their recommendations if they feel that a student would be a good fit for AP Human Geography. All of those requests will be entered into our computer schedule system by the academic area teachers. So for the 3 core areas that are required in ninth grade, those requirements or recommendations are put into the system by your students' core teachers. One of the things that we found over the years is that the curriculum teachers are very good at what they do, and that they really are spot on in terms of their recommendations. So we do ask that you follow their recommendations. They've had the opportunity to work with your students for 6 months or so at this point. They've seen them in class, they're aware of their work habits, and they know what we're looking for in terms of placement. So they really do a good job of making recommendations, and we ask that you follow those. So for the other 2 units or 2 classes that your students will need to complete their schedule, they will have an opportunity to select 2 electives. We will send home an elective worksheet for practice with y'all so that you can take a look at the notebook, the transition guide, and discuss options for your student, and they will be asked to prioritize their choices for electives on a sheet of paper that will come home to you on February 1st. Students will have that worksheet that they can work on with you. They're supposed to bring it back to school on the 8th, where they will receive their official copy of their elective worksheet, and they will be able to prioritize their requests. So if you want to look on page 33, there is an example of how that may look as completed. We did have to make some edits, so students will receive an updated version that will look slightly different than what you see on page 33. But the concept is the same, that the students will be able to prioritize their first, second, third, and fourth electives. Electives are not guaranteed, including foreign language, which is why students have to put their priorities. We do try our best to give them their first and second choices, but because of the amount of space available, we do sometimes have to move to their third and hopefully not their fourth, but it does happen occasionally. And as your students go through high school, they will increase in their priority over the years. So as they become sophomores, they have a better chance of getting the classes that they want than juniors, and seniors are our priority because we need to get them graduated. So that's sort of how that sequence works. So again, this is the example of the completed form, and we will take those and we will enter them into our computer system to work on creating the master schedule. One of the things that students sometimes do, but it's not required, some students decide to take health and the personal fitness class through summer school, either through our local community school, or sometimes they will take it through an online campus. That you can find information about this on page 34 to 35. It does cost $250 per class. And for our purposes, if you're going to register with the Collins Hill Community School, we ask that you pay and register by February 28th so that we can make sure that we have information available to us to go ahead and put you into the electives that you are looking to secure. You can register through GOC, but we do not automatically get notified of your registration, so you'll have to make sure that you let us know that and give us a copy of your registration receipt so that we can go ahead and work on getting your electives set up. Now, why would somebody pay $250 for each class when they can take those as a part of their day? The reason why is that some students from their 9th grade year on want to make sure that they have the opportunity to complete 4 years of, say, our fine arts program, which this would then free up a spot for band, orchestra, or chorus. And we also have students that want to take 4 years of a foreign language, and they want to make sure that they have room for that. Additionally, some of our students that want to go ahead and knock out health and PE so that they can be placed into a weight training class, that is another reason why students sometimes go ahead and take those classes. So again, if this is something that you're interested in, you can pursue it, but it is not required in order for students to participate in any of those programs. So it's not a requirement, and it does not guarantee a spot on our teams, but it does increase the likelihood that you're going to get into the electives that you would like to. And then in some cases, we have students that only do one course this first summer, and then they'll plan on taking the second course next summer. If that is the case, we have to pair up the health and or personal fitness with classes that sort of work into that one semester slot. So we typically match those up with either an introduction to business technology or a fine arts class. It is $250 per class, and again, you would contact the community school if you wanted to register with them, or you can sign up through Gwinnett Online Campus's website if you would like to as well. Another side note, we had a fabulous presentation of the colors by our ROTC Corps of Air Force Cadets at the beginning of our presentation. For students that join the JROTC at the high school, 3 years of completion of that does fulfill the health and PE requirement. They do not get credit for health and PE on their transcript, but it does check those boxes in terms of it being a graduation requirement as dictated by the state legislation. So if you have a student that's interested in doing JROTC, they would be able to drop health and PE in taking that class in hopes that they do 3 years worth and get that health and PE credit. So that's another way of potentially opening up an elective. So by February 8th, your students will have completed their election selection worksheet at Creekland. And then on that sheet, there's an opportunity for you to indicate that on the form as well. And also by the 8th, the Creekland teachers will have recommended their core placements, and so we'll put those two things together. And on March 1st, you will receive a scheduling confirmation form that looks somewhat similar. Again, we've had to change the format, but there's a sample on page 9 that's a little bit more updated that shows you what to expect to receive on the 1st. We send those home through Creekland, and then we ask you to take a look at that. If you have any questions or concerns, you can return that to us with notes. But as you receive those, we really do, again, encourage you to follow your teacher's recommendations, and also encourage you to let your students select their electives. They may want to take something that you would prefer them to take a different class, but we find that when students get to select their electives and when they are able to take classes that they are truly interested in, they tend to do better in those. So that signed schedule verification form will need to be returned back to Creekland by March 8th. We give you a week to take a look at those. If you have any questions about placement, if you have any issues, there's space on that form for you to make a note of that, and we will review those as we receive them. If you have any questions, again, about specific subjects, on page 4 of the transition guide, there's an email list of our instructional coordinators. We have all of the important dates featured on page 5. A couple of last little notes. GCPS has a new policy regarding Carnegie units for high school. If the students earn credit in middle school, they get a P on their transcripts instead of a numeric grade, which means that does not get calculated into their GPA. So they are able to bring that credit to high school without it having a numeric impact on their GPA. Another thing, and regarding that, we will have a meeting later on in the semester. Dr. Savage and I will be coordinating, and you'll be invited, if your student is in a Carnegie unit class, to attend a meeting where we'll talk through some of the pros and cons of accepting that credit as we get closer to the time where you have to make that decision. The other instructional item, 8th grade students have had an opportunity to experience some PBL this year, and then previously in 7th grade. So if you have a student that was successful with that approach, we really encourage you to have your student maybe consider enrolling in our Rise with C-STEM program. We have a really fabulous program that allows students to earn some embedded credits, and they are able to really sort of separate themselves from their classmates and from their eventual high school or college admissions competition by participating in that program. So make sure that you take a look at the C-STEM program. And there is information in the transitional guide on that on page 31. So make sure that you check that out. You may be wondering, how do you contribute to your students' success in high school? So the thing that we emphasize, and here's a scholarly quote, but just anecdotally we can say, the most important thing for success in high school is being here and having good attendance. Because if your students are here, they're going to be receiving phenomenal instruction from our teachers, and if they are not here, then we can't work with them. And so we see students sort of get into a bad sort of spiral when they're absent. Then we aren't able to reach them, to work with them, to get them to where they need to be for success, and it creates some issues. So please, please, please make sure that you get your students here to school on time every day in order for them to have the maximum opportunity for growth and learning while they are here at Collinsville. So again, we then discussed, we had a brief overview from our elective areas, where you can find information in your transition guide on that and our academic areas. And then we adjourned to the commons area, where students and parents were able to go ahead and meet with folks if they had questions and get information about elective options for next year. So we are sorry that you could not make it to the meeting, but we hope that this has been informative for you. If you have any questions or concerns, again, I'm Dr. Heather Childs at Collins Hill High School. I am the Curriculum and Instruction AP, and I'm happy to answer your questions. You can email our instructional coordinators, or Dr. Brett Savage is your contact at Creekland Middle School. Thank you so much and have a great day.